I never faulted you for wanting to believe. You're fighting to change things. I understand, just... in a different world, right?
We'll break the cycle, so she can't steal anyone else's future.
Stubborn people change the world. And you are the most stubborn person I know.
Claire Obscure Expedition 33, a world filled with happiness and pain. It presents us with the cost of clinging too tightly to fantasy. Through a grieving family and a fading city, the game asks, what do we lose when we escape reality? Light and darkness, creation and destruction, death and life. One can't exist without the other. For life to have meaning, an end must exist. For joy to make sense, sadness must be present. The contrast created between the two is what brings balance to our reality. And anyone foolish enough to go against that balance would only find nothingness and oblivion. In Lumiere, a city suspended in the middle of the ocean, shadowed by the ever-present paintress. Mortality is set by a yearly occurrence known as the Gamache, where the people of a certain age all vanish from existence. As the paintress seemingly reduces the age limit by 1, all the dwellers of Lumiere older than the new number are the new victims of this process. To keep morale high, and to honor those who Gamache, the city has a festival at this time, to accompany and celebrate the life of those who will no longer be with them, as many are leaving children, family, and loved ones behind. As humanity will never give up in the face of adversity, expeditions were created in an attempt to reach and stop the patrons once and for all, mostly composed of volunteers who are next in the cycle. This essentially provides the people that have their days numbered a chance to fight back from this injustice, or if they fail, to provide assistance for those who come after. And that's how Expedition 33, or the expedition we're a part of, starts its journey. We start as Gustave, a scientist that has discovered a way to harness some of the paintress' power from her creations to give the expeditioners advantages in combat. His adopted sister, Maelle, also joins despite only being 16, wanting to go to the expedition with the only family she has left, and to once and for all stop the Gamache. Maelle is choosing to be proactive in her life, either stopping the Gamache or encountering her end on her own terms, rather than letting the clock tick until she's gone. However, in the coast of the continent, Expedition 33 is massacred by an unknown individual, one who breaks the rules of the world that we know so far. As he appears to be an older man, he must have survived his Gamache, and is now a traitor, stopping Expedition 33 from making any progress. Gustave, who by some miracle manages to escape, regroups with Luna, Maelle, and Ciel, and together with Eskie, a joyful creature filled with wine and love, they progress their expedition, getting stronger on their way to take down the paintress. As the old man Renoir hunts the expedition down, he kills Gustave, and the expeditioners are rescued by Verso, another expeditioner that is both enshrouded in mystery and secrecy, as he was part of the original expeditions, yet he still lives. The party is not only distrustful due to the circumstances from his origin, but he seems to also not have aged since the expedition reached the continent. But despite their distrust, Verso joins the crew as they are both aligned on the same goal, to reach and stop the paintress once and for all. The crew reaches and defeats two Axons, who are really strong bosses, in order to craft a weapon capable of piercing the barrier that engulfs the monolith. This weapon was composed by the Axon's fragments, built with the help of the Curator, a mystery entity that has taken a liking to Maelle. The expedition reaches and defeats the Paintress, and they triumphantly return to Lumiere, having achieved their goal. Verso, however, looks quite vexed. As they reach the city, a shockwave from the monolith causes a gamache that takes with it all of their expeditioners and the remaining people from Lumiere. Maelle watches in disbelief, betrayed by Verso, who was aware of the consequences that defeating the Paintress would have. Presented with Maelle, or rather, Alicia, a distorted and burned version of Maelle who was lost her ability to speak and an eye, we go through the Desandre mansion. As a member of the family, Alicia wakes up after her gamache, not only to reality, but to the world-shattering fact that she has been living alive all along, and that her reality is something she had forgotten a long time ago. A reality where her brother Verso died in a fire, the same fire that gave her the scars on her face and took her voice. A fire that she blames herself deeply for. A reality where her mom and dad are both painters, gods to the creatures and individuals of the canvas, whose world they have been influencing this whole time. Eileen, as a paintress, was in a constant fight to hold back Renoir as the Curator, who aided the expedition to stop his wife, to finally destroy the canvas that is taking his family. The canvas presents Alicia with an escape. Another life where she is not disfigured, she still has her voice, she has a chosen family, and Verso is still alive. This makes the decision to stay in the canvas a more attractive one. I mean, wouldn't you like to be in a world where your wishes come true? One where you're able to see those you might have lost along the way? Where you feel you belong? Eileen, as the paintress, has just been warning the people of Lumiere using the monolith of the next line of people to be gamashed, but her goal was to maintain the canvas for as long as she lived, even in exchange for her own life. Renoir, having lost a son and having personal experience being lost in his own canvas, in a fantasy world of his own making, is afraid of losing any more of his family members to the last remainings of his deceased son, Verso. Verso's canvas, which now houses a fraction of his soul, derived from all his creation that now populates Lumiere and the continent, in the canvas that once belonged to Verso, the one thing that Eileen, and now Maelle, have to remember him by. Maelle, or Alicia, just like Eileen, went to the canvas, but as she entered in, she not only lost her memories, but she was reborn as a new person that has once again lost a brother, but will do anything to protect the people she now considers her family. As Maelle returns to the canvas, with this new knowledge of hers, she is able to use some of her painter's powers to return some of the people lost in the gamache. Lune, Ciel, Monaco, Esqui, and Verso now have a new goal: to defeat Renoir and return all the people he erased from his existence, saving the canvas and Verso's remaining soul with it. Still, with doubts in his mind, Verso is unable to be the person he was painted to be. Cursed with eternal life by Eileen so that she won't lose her son again, he finds himself as an imposter, unable to fill the void left by Verso. But at the same time, he's unable to separate himself from the image of this former self of his, always walking under the shadow of a ghost. Renoir, a man who, besides not having the best approaches when dealing with his family, has good intentions for them, as he attempts to get both Maelle and Eileen out of the canvas, as their prolonged stay will inevitably consume their lives in the outside world. And while attempting to achieve this goal, he himself starts to live part of his own being within the canvas. As he fights for his family's freedom, he lives his emotions hidden by the masks in Visage's island. He lives his creativity and joy of the arts in Sirene. And finally, he lives his hope for his family to be able to overcome the grief that has destroyed them all. They hope that they can finally fly and break free from this torment and the canvas, as found in the last accent on the wooden tower.
Look around. He just wants you to fly.
Renoir may not notice this, but he's as lost as his family due to his own grief and fear. His escape is not to a perfect world or to see his loved ones that have now passed. He is escaping from his own reality. He is in denial with his family's preference of living in an imaginary world. And despite his criticism and hero complex as he feels he is saving his family, he is attempting to paint his perfect family. It may not be inside a canvas, but at this stage, it is also an imaginary world. The people of this world, although sentient, are just part of the painting, and going with Renoir's wishes will mean the destruction of their lives. Even though these beings may not be real in the sense of the Descendre family in comparison to their world, wouldn't it be unfair to end their existence to save the two individuals that are content with living in a reality where they can escape their grief? The key word being escape, as staying within the canvas not only elongates their grief period, but also incentivizes their own demise and disconnect from the real world. Wouldn't it be the same for us as players to see the Descendre family as the ones inside that canvas, whose life we touch and form a part of, yet separated from our own reality? Playing through the game, getting immersed in its story, discovering the ideas, hopes, dreams, and painful history of every character, help them achieve their goals or just be there for them when the inevitable happens. We become a part of the story we're consuming. For the people inside the canvas, this world is all they know. But we're aware that we're playing a game, and we're in Alicia's shoes as much as Alicia is in Maelle's. There are also meta-narratives to the game. Perhaps the writers mentioned by Clea, the older sister of Alicia, are in fact the writers of the story, being responsible for the fire that killed Verso, making the developers themselves the painters of their own game. And us, the player, are just another alien creature inside a canvas we never belonged to. Verso's death serves as a narrative device used to propel this story forward. The starting conflict that propels both the story and the expeditions, and even so, devising something for the Descendre family to deal with makes the great story that unfolds in this game's world. Aren't we actively enjoying the suffering of people whose reality we're only a passerby for? If that is the case, then wouldn't destroying that canvas be unfair for all of those inside who know no other reality? Would it be fair for Luna to never be able to complete her mother's and father's work, that for better or for worse they propelled her to complete, not only for her own well-being, but for that of everyone in Lumiere? Would it be fair to Ciel, who had to endure so much with her husband's passing and the loss of her unborn baby? Would it be fair to the hundreds, if not thousands of people that sacrificed themselves in many expeditions to finally achieve their freedom to choose how they want to live? And to Maelle, who not only lost a brother in the outside world but in the canvas as well, who is scared and unable to express herself. As they reach Renoir and finally defeat him, you are presented with the choice of fighting as Verso or as Maelle. Choosing Maelle ensures that the grief the family is feeling is not only prolonged but augmented, as Maelle and maybe even Eileen will be willingly choosing to stay in the canvas, as they wither away in the real world. And to the people in the canvas, they have not achieved the freedom they so often desired and sacrificed their lives for. Rather, their world has become a fantasy that will never allow anyone to face the truths that reality presents, even in an imaginary world. As Maelle becomes a new painter, forcing the painted to her own agenda. Siding with Verso, on the other hand, despite destroying that canvas, allows not only the Descender family to be at peace and reunited once more, it lets Verso and the fragment of his soul left in the canvas finally rest in peace, as he no longer needs to paint. Verso and his soul can truly move on, and with that, he liberates and saves the rest of his family. There is no right or wrong way of ending the game. You can make arguments for either side, but one thing I want to draw your attention to are the dangers of blissful ignorance and escapism presented in this narrative. Art, media, activities, anything we do or enjoy becomes a part of us, but it is important not to let those things replace who we are. Even if at the time our reality may not seem the best, it's important to not give up and face our challenges in life. What worlds are you escaping into, and what are you running from? Whatever it is, don't forget to come back. Do it for you and for those who come after. Thank you for watching.